Hi, and welcome to another tutorial. Here we get to build our own calculator API. So we're going to be using Python to be building this. I mean, I'm sure everyone here knows what a calculator is, but anyways, just to make sure that we're on the same page, I'm just going to be showing us what we're going to be building, things that will be included in this calculator, because calculator is a whole lot, I know. So again, we're doing this with vanilla Python. This is set to easy mode, and it's a beginner's project. You learn how to build certain components, in Python and see how you put in your existing knowledge to build this amazing application. So just to put it out there, if you don't have any prior experience with Python, I would really suggest you check out our Python course. There we cover everything Python, from the simple parts to the advanced part. We have everything covered. So I would really suggest you check out our course and see how you can familiarize yourself with the Python programming language. Okay, so in this project, we're going to be looking at how we can implement or how we can build a calculator and have these features inside. Have users make simple addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, then also be able to do advanced operations like percentage calculation, square root calculation, power and exponents. And again, this whole function, the memory function or feature, I had to like remove it for now because I feel that wouldn't be necessary while building a simple application with Python. So I just thought I should just take that out. And decimal precision, I mean, everything is really, really integrated well into Python, and it will be very easy to build with Python. Again, everything here already built on what I've explained. These are just the things you would have to check when you're building the application, just to make sure that the functionality of that application meets all of these functional requirements. Okay, so again, just like my own or as a preference, I like to put all my files in a directory or in a folder. I would suggest you do so at your end so that you can have a central repository where you can store your projects, and if you want to share that when needed, it will be easy for you. You can have this on your PC, or you can have this on the cloud, or any location of your choice, actually, right? So I've created a directory, and I call this project, and you can see my Python file here called math underscore calculator dot py. This is the Python file, and I have this opened up in my code editor. Now, it depends on your own choice and your preference. Me, I love using VS Code, Visual Studio Code. If you make use of Sublime Text, if you make use of Atom, or you make use of Notepad++, as far as you can navigate through that code editor is fine. For me, I'll stick with my VS Code. So I have this already opened up in VS Code, and I would be moving forward with this. So when I click on my VS Code here, you can see I have this open up in VS Code, like I said early, and we'll just start coding. So first thing first is I'm going to import a module called math. Now, if you don't know what import math is, again, check out our Python course. You'll see what all these things are and what they all mean. But anyway, just as a quick explanation, we are importing a module called math. So it comes pre-installed with Python, and we are going to be moving forward. So we're going to be creating functions, and we're going to create a function called add. Okay, and we're just going to put in args like this, and we are just going to say return sum and args. Okay, we're going to create another function, and we are going to call it subtract. Let me get that correct. Subtract. So AB, right? And we're going to return, and we're going to say A minus B. So we're going to take another one here. We're going to call it multiply. All right. And here we're just going to say args. Okay. And results is 1. So we're going to say for num in args, we're going to do say results is going to be num. And here we're going to say for num in, or I did form, not num. And then we're just going to say return results. So I'm going to explain everything when I'm done, building everything, from top to bottom, so that it will be easier to explain and you wouldn't have to be lost anywhere. So here is divide. A, B. All right, so if B is 0, return let's do value error, and I'll just say error division by 0. This is not allowed. All right, so we're just going to say return A divided by B, right? Okay, so we need to check for percentage, right? Which for advanced. So for percentage, that's very easy actually. So we're going to do define and then percentage, right? So percentage, we're going to take A, take two parameters, we call them A and B. And we're just going to say return A times B, and everything will be divided by 100, right? And so same thing for square roots. So square root, yeah. So square root, we're just taking one number, which is A. And here we're going to say if A is less than 0, if it's less than 0, we're going to return the value error, and then we're going to say error negative value for square root. Let me spell this correctly. Square roots. So here we're going to say return math dot square root and then A. So next thing is we're going to check for power, right? That's raised to power or explanation. That's correct pronunciation of that. So we're going to take the parameters A and B, and here we're going to say return. So this raised to power in Python, it has to be like this. That's how we do raised to power in Python basically, right? And then we're going to try to validate the input, make sure that the input, is basically returned as a float, right? So here we're just going to do def, and here we're going to say validate underscore input, and here we're going to take in the value. All right, so we're going to try, I'm going to say float value, and here we're going to return true. So except there is an issue with that value. So if we can't convert the value to floats, we're going to say value error. So if there's a value error, I'm going to return false, right? All right. So now we're going to create another function for the main calculator. So we're going to call this calculator, right? And here we're going to say print. Here we're going to say simple Python calculator. All right, so we'll say while true. So we'll say print. You can just make a new line like this. Here we'll just say options, rather. All right, so print. So if you want 1, so we can just say 1 addition, print 2 is subtraction, print 3 multiplication, print 4. So 4 should be, sorry, 4 should be division. 5 should be percentage. Print 6, sorry, so 6 should be square roots, and just square roots, and print 7 should be power, then 8 should be exit. So you exit from the while loop basically, right? Okay, so here we have choice, and we have inputs. Just make this a new line. What this end is doing. Here we'll just say choose an operation from 1 all the way to 8, right? And we'll just give space here for the user to put in that choice. So here we'll say if choice is 1, which is addition, here we'll just say numbers is equals to inputs, right? And here we'll just say, hold on, choice is equals to number choice voucher. Sorry, I think this should be indented inside the while loop. Yeah, that should be indented inside the while loop. Sorry about that. Okay, so if choice is equals to 1, which is addition, right? We'll just do enter numbers to add separated by space, right? And here we're just going to remove all trailing spaces. So say if all, and then validate inputs num. For num in numbers, we have print, and then just do results. Here is going to be add, and here we have, sorry, so it's going to be add and map. So this is going to be floats, and this is going to be numbers. All right, so else print invalid input, please enter numbers. Okay, so elif choice, so elif choice is 2, which is subtraction. We're going to say a, sorry, we're going to say a is floats, all right, and inputs, enter first number, and b, floats, inputs, enter second number. Okay, and we're gonna have prints. So we'll just say print, no, not point to even go too much. We'll just say print, and here is gonna be f, and then results. Here is going to squiggly brackets. So we'll say subtract. So A and B, right? Okay. So next one now we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing for choice number 3 and choice number 4 and choice number 5, right? Okay, so let's do this. I will say elif. I'll have choice 3. So choice 3 is going to be multiplication. So we have numbers, then input. So enter numbers to multiply, right? So we say separated by space, right? And so we're going to put in splits. So split here is to, sorry, so split is to let go of any leading or trailing by space. And here we're going to say if all validate input, and we're going to put in num right here. Validate input. So we'll say for num in numbers, and here we'll say print f-string results, and you're going to say multiply map floats, and numbers, basically. Okay, so else, sorry, here we say else. I want to print, and we'll just say invalid input. Please enter numbers. All right, so the next one here is elif choice. No, so elif choice, if it's 4, which is division, you're gonna say float, and then we'll bring in input. Let's say enter numerator, and for B, here we're gonna say float, and then input, enter denominator, right? So print, we're gonna say F here, and we're gonna say results, squiggly brackets, we're gonna bring in divide. So what are we dividing? A and B, right? All right, so elif choice. So if choice is 5, so 5 is percentage, right? So here we're gonna say float, and how to have input, and here we'll say enter the number, right? And for B, we're gonna have float input and enter the percentage, right? Okay, so we're going to enter the number here. We're going to enter the percentage as well. And what would this do for us? This would just print and put an F string here. And we'll say results, squiggly bracket, we'll do percentage. So percentage is going to be A, B, right? All right, so next one here is elif choice. If it's 6, what are we doing? So 6 is square root, right? So we're going to say A is floats and inputs. Here we'll say enter number. Oh, why do I keep doing this? Enter number, say print, I know, outside F string, results, square root, and then just taking A. All right, so next one here, see if choice, if it's 7, which is power, right? So here we'll say float, and we're gonna take in the input, say enter base, and B, float, input, so there'll be enter exponent, right? So print results, and I'm gonna say power is A, B, right? And here we have elif choice 8. Want to print, and then we'll say goodbye, right? And we are going to say break, right? So elif, else rather, not even elif, print invalid choice. Please select a valid option. And here we're just going to say, no, it's depth anyway, we're just going to say calculator. Okay, so I'm going to explain everything now from start to finish, just so we can understand what's going on. Okay, so the first line here says import math. Now, math is a module, obviously, that comes pre-installed with Python. It contains so many math functionalities from basic to advanced, right? If you don't know what it's doing, please refer to our Python course where we talk about models in Python, right? Line 3 obviously is a function that has the name of add, and this, is going to take in, let me just use the word limitless amount of parameters. So since we don't know the exact parameters that will be imputed by the user, we're just going to put in star and then args. This is just to represent all the parameters that will be imputed by the user, since we do not know the exact amount, that will be imputed by the user. I mean, that's because if you are trying to add something, you might not be adding just two numbers. You might want to add like 100 numbers, 1000 numbers, right? So what we're going to do now is we're just going to say return, and then we're going to say sum. So sum obviously is a Python keyword that just adds numbers basically, right? So we're going to pass in the args here, which is the arguments or the parameters that will be imputed by the user. We're going to pass it into here, and this Python keyword will just add, what is in that bracket. So the next function here is subtract, and we're subtracting a and b. So we're going to say return a minus b. So next one says multiply. So multiply, again, we don't know the exact number of parameters that will be entered by the user, so we're just going to use args. Here we're going to say result is equals to 1, right? So we're going to set that like the default, we're going to set the default result basically to 1. Here we're going to say num in arg, so we're going to loop over the content of this argument, and here we're going to say result is going to be result is equals to result times num. So this is what it's doing. So this is the full length of what this represents basically. So we're going to take result, which is 1 times 1. The result now is already set to 1, which is the default, right? So when we are looping over it, we're simply going to set the result to the argument that is contained here in the loop, right? And then we're going to times it by num. So say, for example, the argument is 2, 3, and 9. So we're going to loop over that 2, 3, and 9, right? So when we loop over that 2, 3, and 9, anything we get here. So if the first loop is 2, it's going to assign it to this 2, and then we're going to times it by what is here, right? So 3 times 2, just like that. So if we do 2, 3, 9, it's going to be 2 times 3 times 9. That is what is actually happening here. So we're going to return the results as well. So we have divide. Obviously, divide gets the up one and the down one, which is a and b. And then if b is equal to 0, that if the downside is equal to 0, which is the denominator is equal to 0, we're going to raise a value error that says, oh, we can't divide by 0. And then if everything looks good, we're going to return a divided by b, right? Let me just put a space here for better visibility. Now here we have percentage. So percentage basically gets the percentage of a number. So to do that, we're going to get the number and we're going to get the percentage. So let's see the number is 50 and the percentage is, let's say the number is 200 and the percentage is 50. So A is going to be 200, B will be 50, right? So B is the percent we're trying to look for in 200, right? So 50% of 200 basically. So this is going to be 200 times 50 divided by 100. That will give you the percentage. Here we have square root. The square root is going to take in one single parameter called a, and then if a is less than 0, we're going to get a negative value basically saying that square root cannot be less than 0. And we're going to import the square root function, the square root feature from math, and then we're going to find the square root of the number that have been provided. So next one here says power, that is raised to power this, raised to power that. So we're going to get the base, we're going to get the exponent, and we're going to make that calculation here, which is going to be return a. So now to do that thing where you have this caret something that faces up, this is how you do it in Python. So you just put star star twice and then b. So that will be 2 raised to power. So if this is 2 and if this is 4, this is going to return 2 raised to power 4, basically. All right, so we're going to validate the input. So validating the input basically means that what has been entered here is a float, and if we're going to make further calculations, the input must be valid. So we're going to create a function called validate input. Now, this function is going to require a value here, and we're going to try and we'll see if that the value has to be float, or if the value is float, or if the type of the value is float, then we want to return true. If the value isn't a float, we just want to return false, basically. So we'll come over to calculator, which is the main function here that will make the user interact with the application. Here we have print simple Python calculator. And here we have a while loop that just will be set to infinite, except it's broken by something. So we're going to print out the options 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, down to 8. So 1 addition, 2 subtraction, 3 multiplication, 4 division, 5 percentage, 6 square root, 7 power, and 8 exit. All right, so we're going to make the user, so we're going to allow the user to enter an option from 1 to 8, right, depending on their choice. Now, if the choice is 1, obviously, we need them to enter numbers here and separate it by space. So if they want to calculate the addition, or if they want to add 950, 60, 11, they would have to separate those numbers by space so we can add them together, basically. Now, here in line 56, we have if all. So if everything, right, that has been given to us in this line right here, we're going to validate if, okay, let me break it down. Let me not rush here so you understand what is going on. Now, let me start from here to explain, because if you don't explain it here, you might not really understand what is happening here. So here we're going to say for num in numbers. So we're going to loop over the content of these numbers, right? And then we're going to assign it to this variable here called num. Okay, now this variable here called num is actually coming from here. Let me show you. Actually coming from this validate input. Now this validate input will just make sure that all of the numbers entered by the user is actually a floating number, or can be converted to a floating number, basically, right? And then basically this is just going to get all of the numbers entered by the user, right? So if 57, we have print. So print is going to be add. So this add here is coming from the function we created here called add. All right. So let me go back there. So here we have add, and this map, basically what this map is doing is it converts everything. Now you can see here is the explanation here actually. You see, make an iterator that computes the function using arguments from each of the iterable, stops when the shortest iterable is exhausted. So what this map is doing here is simply saying that everything the user has entered, we want to put them together and map through it and make sure we make the iterations and calculate everything. That is what this map is saying, basically. Now this float here is basically saying that we want to convert the numbers that have been entered into a floating point number, basically, right? And yeah, I think so. Right. No, I think so, I know. And then basically this is the numbers entered by the user. So this just makes that calculation for you and adds everything up. Else, if the user entered something else, we just have to say, please, invalid inputs, please enter numbers. So next one here is choice, and then choice is equals to 2. So 2 should be subtraction. Here we're just going to take the first number, take the second number, and then we're going to subtract using the function we defined at the top. And then print, we're going to print out the results. If the choice is 3, I believe 3 is multiplication. We're going to take in the numbers, make sure that the user separates the numbers with a space. We're going to validate the inputs, make sure that everything can be transformed to a floating point number, right? And then we're going to display the calculation based on the function we defined at the top, which is multiply. So line 70, obviously, if the choice is 4, I believe this is division, right? So we're going to get the numerator, we'll get the denominator, and we're going to divide based on what we defined at the divide function at the top. All right. So next one here is choice, and if the choice is 5, this is to find the percentage, right? So we're going to get the number, which will be in A. We're going to get the percentage. So let's say the number is 200, and we're going to get percentage of 50. So this is saying that we want to find that we want to get 50% of 200, right? And again, this line here will make that calculation for us and give us the result. Line 6 is square roots. Again, we're going to get the input from the user, and we are going to get the square roots as well. Line 7 is explanation, which is versus power. We're going to get the base, we're going to get the exponent, we're going to make the calculation based on the function we define at the top. Then line 8 obviously says goodbye, break, that is if we want to exit from the application. And then else we entered rubbish or we did not enter something definitive. It's going to tell us invalid choice, please select a valid option. That, I mean, like the valid options will be from option 1 to option 8. So if we enter anything like option 25, we don't have such here, so it's going to tell us invalid choice, please select a valid option. And then line 91, we have the calculator, which is the function that would allow the user to interact with the application. So I'm going to run this application and you guys will see how it looks like. I will click on this run here. Well, let me just do something. Let me just clear out of this first of all. Just make a new space. All right, so let me run this again for you guys. Now you can see simple Python calculator. You can see the options. Here the options are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, percentage, square root, power. So let's do power, for example. We'll do 7 and we'll click on enter. Enter base. So let's say the base is 3 and I'll click on enter. Then exponent, let's say 5. And then um you can see here it says the result is 243.0 basically. Right? So same for addition as well. So I can choose one for addition. So enter number you want to add separated by spaces. So I can say 50 space 50 space 50. So that should be 150, right? So if I should enter, you can see at the top it says 150. Now because this is float, you just add the point zero, but it doesn't matter. All right, so let's say I want to do square root. So square root, I will choose 6 for square root. And enter number, say 49, obviously. This is going to give us 7. So press enter and you can see 7.0, right? So if I do something like 847, obviously it's not an option. So you can see where it's going to tell me choose a valid option basically, right? So I have to enter between 1 to 8. If I want to quit this whole loop, I'll just enter 8 and enter. You can see goodbye and it's broken. Voila. This is just a basic calculator. Like I'm so surprised that it took us this long to build this, because the reason why it's very funny is because you can literally do calculations from Python shell. You don't have to even write this long code to do so. But say for the sake of you just need to do something very quick, or you just need to demonstrate your abilities in Python, then this would be very helpful, for you to know how everything adds up. But yeah, I mean, you can do basic, calculations with your Python shell, right? If you're trying to do calculations with Python, you don't have to go through this route. You can just do so with your Python shell. So let me show you. I don't know if I have my Python up and running very well, but I can break out of this. Let me just show you guys. So I can just do Python. You can just do something like 50 plus 50. All right, you can just see 100. Right, so you can just use the shell to make simple calculations. Actually, you don't have to do too much. So I can do 700, or like I can do maybe 1000, right, divided by 3. You just get the answer. So this is how to use Python shell to calculate. You don't have to write these long scripts to do so. But if you need to write for somebody or just add to your portfolio, definitely this is a way to go about it, right? And yeah, so we've come to an end of the project. Again, if you have any issue whilst doing this, you can always reach out to us. If you need help or assistance, you can reach out to us via email. And happy coding. Feel free to extend this, add more functionalities as well, make this look better and bigger as well. And let's see what you're doing. Happy coding, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.